I know the setup is still horrible because even if I go over here, I disappear. That's how broken the camera is. But I will be going today to get the storage memory card, whatever, for the camera that I will be using. Not for this channel. This is just like just to finish this off here because on this channel I'm going to be talking about shame. And yesterday I uploaded a video where I was just rambling and full on, and that was more of a practice for me. If you're going to watch that, you will see me do a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, how to get rid of shame and how to overcome it. So watch that if it interests you. I'll be essentially making the same points, just in about a quarter of the time, hopefully. Because it isn't simple. I mean, it isn't hard, but it is simple how to overcome shame, right? So it is. You have to. I like to understand where feelings come from, what their origins are, what their designed or mechanisms are. And like a first rule to understand is that every single feeling we have developed was at least at one point in history beneficial to us, or probably for the majority of history. I would argue that shame is a very good example of an emotion that is no longer of service to us, or at least not in the magnitude that it used to be. Now it's more of in the way of us than it actually helps us. It used to help us by, we think, oh, negative feelings, we don't like them. No, negative feelings care about you a lot. It's just any feeling you have is supposed to move you towards an action. If you feel angry, that might be, assert your boundaries, prevent someone from treating you poorly. You need some kind of motivation to get you to do things, even though it might not be pleasant to experience that emotion. Shame was designed for, and still is, so that you don't end up being isolated. It prevents you from being awkward, weird, from preventing social norms. And my coffee machine is acting up. It's gonna start making a horrible noise. Oh my. Okay. I hate when it makes that noise. I don't think it always used to make that noise, but here we are, I guess. So, shame used to, and still does, prevent us from doing things that are deemed worthy of social punishment by people around us, which used to mean we were isolated because we used to live in groups of around 100 to 150 people. Meaning if you were to get isolated from that, you would be on your own because there's not another tribe just around the corner you can go to, which there now is. Like, we don't have social communities to the extent that we used to. But even though we're like much more people, our social communities are probably more weak, or in a lower count of people on average, at least. That's kind of the paradox of over socialization. But okay, so that's how shame was designed to help you. But it would actually feel, because it was to prevent you from dying, right? It actually is a really intense and important motivator. So it's really important that you listen to the feeling, because if you don't, you're going to die. So it has to be a really strong feeling. It feels like you're going to die if you're really ashamed, or that you're really close to dying. Because, well, if I don't get this right, or if I'm going to be judged for for being too much or too little of that thing, well, then it's over, right? Okay, so, but that no longer applies. How do we get rid of it? Well, before we get to that, there's a distinction between two types of shame that I have come up with. Maybe they already exist, but it is like active and passive shame. Active shame is shame that gets you to do certain things. Active shame would be, I have to perform all of the time, because if I don't, I have learned that I won't get love unless I perform. So I have to constantly perform. and then there's this fear of like, there's something fundamentally wrong with me, so I have to constantly perform. That would be an example of active shame. An example of passive shame, or and perhaps anti-active shame, whatever, it doesn't matter too much. It's shame that doesn't get you to show yourself in like the best light, to perform in some way, but the one that makes you want to disappear, to not be seen. That a part of you, it's not even fixable. Like you can't even do anything about it. You can't make it more attractive to other people. It just has to not be seen by anyone. Um, that's shame that makes you, like a simple example of this might be being too afraid to ask a stupid question, because then, oh, what if people are going to think I'm dumb, right? But that leads you to not ask the questions which would make you smarter, which means you're going to not become smarter, which means you wanting to not seem dumb actually is the thing that makes you stupid in a lot of ways. Yeah, but I mean, everyone knows that at this point. That's not a new thing. Anyways, so we have active and we have passive shame. How do we overcome active shame? So active shame is telling you you need to be all of these things much more than you are, and then you'll be okay, then you'll deserve love, then you can live with yourself, then you're not a waste of life and space. Like, it can be really mean like that kind of shame. So the problem with that is it makes you a promise. The feeling of shame makes you a promise that if you end up getting these things, maybe if it's a certain amount of money, a level in your career, some kind of looks, some physical, like some physique, some I don't know, social status, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, it will not be enough, because the message, like, it lies to you. It's selling you the idea that if you get these things, if you become that thing or those things, that then you will be enough, and then you can feel loved or valued, or and it doesn't matter if you get there, you still won't feel that way, because it's never been about the quantity of characteristics you have. It's been about the quality of your characteristic being you. If you feel loved, if you, like, through your performance, that's not you being loved, that's your performance being loved. So you'll still consciously be anxious about the fact that if you stop performing, you will no longer be loved or valued, and people will discard you again, and you'll be alone again, right? Which is what shame is trying to prevent you from. So how to get rid of, how to beat that shame is actually to allow yourself be seen in ways in which you are not serving others all of the time. Because in a way, chasing status is a form of people pleasing. And this might be very offensive to the red pillers, who are like, but I think the entire red pill movement is shame driven, and it's but what isn't talked about yet, I mean, that's a pretty obvious take, I think, at this point, but what isn't obvious yet is that even chasing status is a form of people pleasing, because you believe that you need to provide other people with all of these things. You're not driving, and maybe you are driving the car for yourself, but you're not living in, like, how can I put this and not be too... A lot of the things we tell ourselves that we do for ourselves, we wouldn't do if we wouldn't get rewarded for it by the outside world, right? And if all you're focusing on is how much you can build up to give to other people, that's actually signaling that you, or is like revealing, at least, maybe not signaling, but is revealing that you believe that you need to provide all of these things, or to be able to provide all these things to other people, because otherwise they wouldn't be around. Otherwise they wouldn't spend time with you, they wouldn't be around you. So you need to provide people your status, your money, you need to be entertaining them, you need to be a certain level of attractiveness. And like I'm not saying that those are bad things to pursue, but I am saying that if that's like your obsession, that is revealing a fear that if you lack these things, people won't like you. It is not confidence getting you, like, it is not ambition, it's not confidence if that is your obsession. It is a it is learn. It's not even your fault, right? If that's you, that's just having learned that if you don't perform, you're not enough. You're not lovable. You need to provide people with things. I think I'm hammering. I think I've said it, repeated myself like 4 times for the sake of specificity here. But yeah. Um, so you need to, if you don't want to become like the overachiever, perhaps, who's still miserable and filled with shame, you need to allow yourself to be seen as non-perfect, as non-performing, and maybe show people where you are flawed. And ironically, you will feel better about yourself when other people don't praise you for how great you are, but when they accept you for the ways in which you aren't perfect, in which you are like, because they know, even though they might be doing the same, they might be trying to tell the world how they're perfect. Um, they will probably also want to connect with you more because if you're constantly performing this perfect image, they won't be able to relate to you. Because also, which I've talked about in other videos, we don't really identify with our strengths as much because our strengths become our norms. We identify like that we don't even notice anymore. If we have a healthy ego, we do identify with strengths or to an extent. But if what most of us do is we identify with our struggles and with our pain because that makes us unique. And just if and you want to relate to other people, but you relate to other people through your identity. So if you don't have any struggles, you also don't really have any relatability to anyone else. But that's more of a side point. Okay, how do you get rid of passive shame? The pain, the shame that is telling you you're going to die if people find this out about you, or if you're going to be yourself, you're going to live some part of you out. You do the thing and allow for, well, a lot of us um, might even hide things that we're ashamed of from ourselves and, project those things then onto others. So it's not even that we just hide things from other people, it's that we hide things from ourselves because we judge ourselves for them so deeply that we won't even allow ourselves to do them or to be them when no one's watching. And it also helps, I believe, probably the with cognitive dissonance. If I'm going to let for some reason, and this is not a realistic scenario, but for some reason, let's say we live in a society where instruments, like playing instruments, is like a really, or a certain kind of instrument is a really bad, shame-worthy thing to do. But you really like playing the guitar, so you're going to sit at home or like and then you do that. Other people would shame you for that, but like it's easier for you to just deny to yourself that you really enjoy playing that certain instrument, and then have to constantly lie to others. Like it's easier to lie to yourself and then implicitly lie to everyone else than it is to lie to everyone else but to be honest with yourself. um, okay, so you have to allow, like, see yourself doing the thing you're ashamed of and just learn to sit with that until you can somewhat tolerate it. And what does even more is allow other people to see you doing that thing, talking about that thing. Um, yeah, like especially if something happened to us, perhaps, or even if we played some role in it that we probably like to over exaggerate for a sense of autonomy and control. Um, Talking about it is not an option to everyone, it's not recommended for everyone, but it can have a really beneficial effect, which is regaining control over your narrative and saying, like, because if you can stand to what happened to you in your life and what you did or whatever, if you can stand behind it and says, yeah, that was me, and therefore it maybe still be some part, whatever, but that doesn't even matter. That was me. That did happen to me. I did those things. If you can stand behind that, you don't have to like you don't have to hide from the world. And then if you don't have to hide from the world and the people will still accept you, by the way, people will accept you more when you accept yourself, which is very obvious, but this is a very simple example of, if you do something embarrassing, but if you're not embarrassed at all, people are powerless in their judgment of you. And noticing that, they won't judge you because they would be the ones losing. So if they were to make a really big deal out of attempting to shame you for doing something, but you aren't ashamed of the thing at all, it is actually them who look silly or stupid and not you. So yeah, like imagine you drop a water bottle, but you're like really like, oh, I'm so clumsy, and then you like pick it up quickly, and then I don't know, you run away. Then people are gonna be like, what's up with this, Um, but if you drop something and then you just pick it up and you act like, you don't even have to act if there's nothing happened, because nothing significant happened. You just pick it up, continue the conversation. Uh, Other people won't mind at all. They just be like, okay, picked it up again, and then it just doesn't matter. So how much you will be judged is probably as a definitely has correlation to how much you judge yourself, which is why the saying also, like, it's comparable to the saying of, if you throw down an insult, like the how does it go, like, if you yeah, if you throw down an insult, it's the person who like agrees with you who will pick it up. If I tell you that I hate your pink hair, but your hair is brown, you'll just be like, is he talking to me? Talking to... But you know, so you can only be offended by things you kind of agree with somewhere, which is interesting, because otherwise the offense would be seen as offensive. It would just be seen as absurd. So if you've ever been offended by something, realize that you aren't actually mad at them for saying it as much as you're probably mad at yourself for agreeing with it. Or mad at yourself because you agree with it and now they have revealed it to you. Which is why, that's the saying of, like, no one makes you angry. You are complicit in your own anger, unless it's like a physical violation of your boundaries. If it's just like a verbal, and they're not, I'd also count like screaming is a form of physical intimidation, because it's the thing that comes before, like it's a warning sign. But if there's no reason to believe you're being physically threatened, the words only have as much weight as you allow them to have. So you are, yeah. Yeah, so that's how to get rid of active and passive shame and the origins of shame. Um, on that, still, I haven't shaved, and I know I look so much worse when I haven't shaved, and I hate how my hair is looking. I'm like in the awkward stage of growing out my hair, so this is like horrible. I will hate this. I already hate this. And I don't like this at all. Like, I hate it, but it's fine. I have to allow myself to be seen as non-attractive, as non-whatever, and also the downward angle doesn't help. It just doesn't. I would look way better if I'd probably like, well, first of all, with a better camera, but also if I'd actually done hygiene properly and wouldn't be wearing a wrinkled shirt. All of those things. The last video I made, I'm practicing overcoming my fear of being seen here. That's basically what this entire channel has been about. It's about, I haven't been doing this for you. I haven't been recording videos for you. I've been recording videos for me to overcome myself. So, yeah, this is me overcoming like a passive shame, I suppose, and an active, like, yeah. No, I've been overcoming active shame in social settings. I've been overcoming, yeah. Anyways, Um, Now I gotta drink my coffee. Um, then I'm gonna have to buy the card, which I've been procrastinating for like what, a month now, 1.5 months. It's wild. Because I've been wanting to do it and I've just never done it, which makes no sense. I don't know why I procrastinate things that I want to do. Like, procrastinating things that you don't want to do makes sense, but I procrastinate things that I want to do. There's nothing I want to do more than those things, and then I still won't do them. And that, I don't know. Maybe that is normal. I don't know. It's anyways. I'm no longer talking about shame. Also, I have. This is pissing me off. I'm like 20 years old. Why do I have wrinkles? Yeah, that's wild. Anyways, can't wait what I'm gonna look like in 3 months or something. I hope my hair is then gonna be way longer than it is now. See ya.